Once again, the weeks have gotten away from me, and winter lies just around the corner. Usually for me, that has meant entering a period of begrudgingly suiting up in as many layers as I can possibly fit on, and opting to spend most of my free time inside. But this year, though our typical autumnal weather was only here briefly, I have really loved these colder days. Thanks to some environmental factors that make me incredibly sad, summer was far too long this year, and it blatantly ignored the Gregorian calendar by sticking around through late October. With so much anxiety around the lingering heat, the long-lasting drought, and the increasingly smoky skies, I was incredibly grateful for the cooling weather and rains for the earth. Just as importantly, I was grateful for change in my surroundings. I've spoken a lot here about stagnation in life, in environment, especially that which stems from a perceived lack of choice. But over this fall, the sameness became a bit exhausting, and try as I might, I don't have very much control over the weather. So I decided it was time to engage in a few autumnal favorites, regardless of the season's lack of cooperation. This year I took more foraging trips in the woods than I ever have before. I'm still a novice when it comes to foraging, but always looking to learn more. Every time I'm out in the forest, I'm constantly wondering, ooh, what kind of tree is that? And dashing to my phone to check when I happen to have it with me. So far, I've just done some of the basics like elderberries, rose hips, hawthorn berries, black cottonwood buds, and resins. But in the coming year, I'd really like to delve into mushroom hunting, hopefully without poisoning myself. In the spring, I'm planning on growing as much of a medicine garden as I have room for. But time will tell how far I make it with that plan. I've also decided I want to be a bit more adventurous in baking projects, and the colder half of the year is the perfect time for that. With the very recent drop in temperature, I've been baking bread more often. I've used our surplus of apples from apple picking to make a tarte tatin and a cider spice cake, and I even put numerous hours into trying croissants again. The last time I made croissants, I was probably 17 and took a lot of shortcuts. This time, I'm a bit older and wiser, and they were definitely an improvement, but I think making croissants, well, may be a lifelong learning process. As the cold slowly made its way to Washington, I adopted a new habit of starting my mornings outside, often in freezing weather, for a brief, cold meditation with the cheerful birds. Historically, I've been the person who is always freezing at indoor temps during the winter, constantly clicking the heat back up, sometimes even in more public spaces. And this year, I'm really trying to challenge my body to welcome the cold. To feel that freezing temperature on my bare skin and recognize that, in most cases, the sensation, while perhaps uncomfortable, is not the same as pain. I follow a handful of creators who engage in ice baths, and I'm probably a long way off from being able to take that plunge. But for now, this little habit of easier adjustment works for me. And thanks to my neighbor's feeders, I've spent more time with hummingbirds this autumn than in the rest of my life combined. Throughout the season, Cullen and I have been putting a lot of effort into finding and creating community here. As you may remember, we just moved to our new town at the end of the summer without really knowing anyone in the area. Looking back on it now, it's almost shocking how quickly we've fallen in with some new friends. I've always thought that it was really difficult to make new friends as adults, but since moving here, it's been getting easier and easier. Owing in part to the fact that when you really like the place you live, you spend more time out around other people. And also to the fact that we discovered there are apps for meeting new friends. It felt a little silly at first, especially since neither of us have ever app dated, but now, for how well it's paid off for us, I really wish I'd done this years ago. Look at the beautiful Mount Baker! There it is! I've also been hired as a section leader at a local choir and found a group that does monthly meetups that feel like a midpoint between church and nature meditations. Hey. So I'm hovering down real low on the ground, just looking at how beautiful the light is here, and just very entranced by things that lenses don't capture very well, like the light in spider webs, and I don't know, all the little glimmerings that get obscured when you try to save it forever. So better for the moment, I think. God, that's nice though. remember a few months ago when Colin and I first got the keys to our new apartment. We were so nervous about seeing it because we had to sign our lease sight unseen. But once we opened the door, all worries left our minds. I remember standing in that amber evening sunlight in front of the western windows and saying to him, "I think we're going to be really happy here." And I am so pleased to report that I was right.